Welcome back to another episode of the Wall Street Rundown. My boy got his shades on for the Intel move, bro. This is crazy. Hey man, we've been talking about Intel since Intel was below $20. Go look at the stock now. Just go look at the stock now and thank us. Just come here and give us our flowers because when nobody was talking about the whole story of how Intel's gonna make it, everybody was kind of downpouring on Intel. It's not gonna make it. And every single point we talked about got hit. They executed beautifully. Executed beautifully, man. It is crazy, man. It is crazy. Before we touch that, man, welcome back to the Wall Street Rundown. I got my boy Wale with me. Let's go, Wale.
I'm feeling good today. Feeling real good. Had to put the shades on today.
Man, you sound like Ice Cube right now. This has been a good day. Man, but before we start, man, the stock market caps off the week with a positive tone, man, navigating geopolitical tension, all this crazy that was happening. I think there's still talks happening about the Iran war in Pakistan somewhere this weekend. That's probably gonna, if everything goes well, there we might have a deal by Monday. That's probably gonna cause the stock the stock market to go even higher. But overall, man, S&P closed at 71.65, high of all time. Like that thing just ran through it, right? You know what I mean? AI and tech power gains. Also, Nvidia was hit a record high. Market cap was like $5 trillion, I think. Intel had the best day since, guess this, 1987. Since 1987.
Some of y'all
Like
weren't
that.
even born then.
That is crazy, man. Like since 1987, they had the best day ever with a strong Q1 results and a positive guidance. Remember, we talk to you guys about guidance all the time. You can have the perfect numbers, but if you don't give a good guidance, the stock can go the other way. But they gave a good guidance. Semiconductors also did good. Earnings strength, over 80% of S&P 500 companies reporting so far have been beating both earnings per share and revenue estimate also, which is great. The VIX dropped to below 18.76, still a little bit high, but it's definitely a lot better than what we kind of looked at before. But overall, man, let's talk about this day, man. So while I'm gonna hand it out to you, man, let's get this thing rocking.
So we basically beat Intel into the ground for like a year, pretty much, right?
I feel like people are getting
Um,
sick and tired of us because
Probably got sick and tired of hearing us talk about Intel, but the thesis behind Intel, despite having a struggling business at the time, and I always say, don't buy broken businesses, buy broken stocks.
it sucks.
There are some exceptions if you can create a good thesis around a turnaround story. And I gave a example of what I had seen before with GE before they eventually got out of the mud. This was back in I think like 2017, 20, maybe 2017. No, yeah, 2017, 2018, when the
Mm.
business was struggling. So when you see a broken business, you have to start thinking about, is this company essential to what people need today? And the case around Intel was, out of all of the companies in the world, Intel is the only US based chip manufacturer. Taiwan Semi is in Taiwan, Samsung is in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Intel's the only US based chip manufacturer that has a true fabrication business in the US. We have always heard stories around the US talking about we want to limit dependency on other countries for chips. I think we saw the CHIPS Act back, a couple years ago. I don't know if that was under Trump or under Biden, but it was to give chip companies more fuel to lessen dependency on other countries.
Right.
So looking at those two factors, and seeing that, it was one of those things where you almost had to say the US is not going to allow Intel to fail. Then you saw the leadership change, which was step one. And then step two was aggressive cost cutting.
Yep.
We saw it. And when they started cutting costs, we didn't really see any like immediate results right away.
Right.
It took some time for them to really get aggressive with cost cutting. And then the CEO stepped in and really changed things around. We also are living in a time where chips are in demand. So you're thinking, can Intel just get a piece of the business? Could they with the right partnerships? And as all of those things played out, I mean, that thing went from 20 below 20. We hit a high of what, 87 today before it kind of pulled back a little bit and closed around like 82. I mean, that's just one huge run. And I remember if you're in our investment group, and I keep telling people, this is where you can get really good quality information. This was on February 13th last year. I said Intel under $20 is a steal. I said
Still.
it's a steal.
Yep.
And I was listening to those earnings reports, just listening to those calls and just doing my analysis and saying they're taking the right steps. They've got momentum behind them. Now, it took a while before they actually turned a profitable quarter until this quarter. But I mean, talk about execution. And the thing that I want to point out that I did not know is when we look at all of these components of technology that is needed for AI, this is something I didn't think would happen. Listen to this. The move was driven by an unexpectedly strong forecast and signs that AI demand is expanding beyond GPUs to CPUs, especially for inference and data center workloads. So, Intel saw strong demand for their Xeon server CPU and even sold chips that had previously been shelved. So, they were going to write off some of their technology like we don't need this anymore. But it sounds like I mean, not GPUs, CPUs, which
Use.
Intel dominates on,
Mm-hmm.
can now be used for AI inference. And what did we talk about last episode? Training and inference.
Inference. Yep.
So, I mean, it's kind of like the whole memory thing. Like we didn't really think that, memory, I didn't think memory was going to play a big part into the whole AI workload thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we saw SanDisk, we saw Western Digital and Seagate take off because of that demand. I'm not saying Intel's about to do that, but their older technology can be used in today's day and age outside of just GPUs.
Right.
Now, I'll be honest with you. If I told you that a year from now that Intel would be at $87 in a year, I'd no, I would not think so. But
Yeah. We
I,
didn't think so. We did not think so. We thought it was gonna take a
no,
while.
no way, no way. I thought this was going to take a while for it to turn around, but man,
Bro. Like the way this talk when I messaged yesterday, I was like, when you said look at Intel, I was like, whoa, whoa. But let's talk about it, man.
and I'll be
The
honest, I
shipment.
I hedged, I bought puts to hedge my
Yeah,
my
yeah,
my
position.
stock because I said this thing has ran up. I didn't expect the earnings to be that good, so those puts got smoked. But the stock moved like, oh my goodness, I did not expect a 20% move today. No way.
That is amazing, first of all. But yeah, man, shout out to everybody who has listened, who has been here with us, who endured our talks about Intel all the time. I feel like Intel and Outlook were gonna beat that thing to the ground, and both of them kind of just like, hey, it just
Just took off.
if you an Intel from 20, you pretty much what 600% of your money right now because it's what did we close at today?
No, I think it's less than that. It's less than that. Because if you're at 20, if you subtract your cost basis, you're at like three something.
300 times. Okay,
Yeah. Let me
but
let
that
me see. Yeah. So my cost basis is 1905. And it's let me see. Yeah, 1905 is my cost basis. It says I am up 334%.
but
Yeah,
still, man,
that's still crazy.
that's still a crazy number just on stocks alone.
That's on stocks.
Yeah, we're not even talking about
Leaps or options. Imagine if you had options.
I mean, we didn't think it's going to happen this fast, honestly.
No, no way. I didn't want to take that risk.
I
I
wasn't
didn't
going
want
to
to take
risk
that
it.
risk. I didn't want to take that risk.
But that is for me. That's like that is crazy, 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 crazy. Yeah, my calls. Mine was like 229%. Okay, I see. Yeah. But still, man, like that is still an amazing trade that if you take it, even if taking the last couple of months, you would still be up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even if you bought it the last couple of months, you'd still be up. But overall, man, shout out to everybody who followed us. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I took some profits because I
Oh,
feel like this
had
was a
to.
massive this was a massive run.
And I will say this on a valuation basis, based on where it's trading now, it's expensive.
It's very expensive.
It is expensive. If you're buying Intel at this level, it's expensive. And I will say that based on this move, going into next earnings, you have to understand that the expectations are going to be
Oh
higher.
yeah, higher. Yep.
The expectations are going to be higher. But if you look at what happened, AMD moved, TSM moved, NVIDIA moved, ARM moved. So that whole space just basically took off. So, man, what a day for Intel, man.
It's
I'm
crazy,
just,
man. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I feel like now we're moving in phases, right? I think we talked about this. Like
yep,
last year was more about the
cutting the
uh
fat.
was well, even like I'm even thinking about like the whole AI story. Like last year, I think it was about
Oh,
all the
okay.
companies that design AI. Like looking at NVIDIA. NVIDIA went like crazy, right?
Yep,
This year, and even a little part of last year, we're seeing TSM moving, we're seeing AVG, we're seeing Intel. Like the guys that actually make the chips are starting to move, right?
yep.
Now we see also the other component of the AI. Man, this is crazy. The other component of AI that actually started moving. We talk about memory. Memory started moving up too. We talk about data centers. Data centers are moving up too. So it's like those companies that actually make up the ecosystem. Remember, we showed you guys the whole ecosystem of AI. That ecosystem is now starting to participate. The money is not going from the designers all the way out to the other part of the ecosystem, right?
Correct.
Eventually, if you guys see what I'm going with this, it's gonna go to power. That's still in play. Like I'm telling you guys, that is still in play. So now we see like the web is getting it's like it has tentacles now, basically. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, okay, we have the design, we have the demand, we have all these different things. Now we're gonna start bringing all the other component in, right?
Yep, yep.
Eventually, we're gonna hit a block and we're gonna really have to speed up with this power thing. I mean,
Yeah.
go look at GEV. Like that thing, like it's moving like crazy right now. And that's not
Uh-oh.
even part of nuclear. That's not even part of the nuclear just yet, right? So again, we're seeing some of those things actually move like crazy. Wale, did we lose you? I think I lost Wale.
I think I might be starting to lose you. Give me one quick second. Hold on real quick.
Okay, okay, good.
I think I might be starting to lose you. I think I lost you.
Yeah, yeah, you lost me there for a little bit. I think
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
back
yeah.
now.
I think you're talking about GEV.
Yep. So you start seeing company like GEV, you start seeing a company like, that actually you know, participate in the whole architecture of the AI. Um, what I'm saying is like you're starting to see the tentacle come out now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like all these other companies are now starting to participate. So I think the ecosystem is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the money is now moving to the right places where it needs to be. I mean, we haven't even talked about the cooling part yet. We haven't talked about the the delivery of that power actually to the actual data centers. Like we haven't talked about any of those things yet, but this is all coming to fruition. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think that's gonna happen a lot faster. That now we're scaling that this fast. The I won't be surprised if you start seeing more and more news about the energy and all those different things. Because if you guys hear, they're starting to cancel a lot of contracts when it comes to data centers because there's not enough power. That's a problem, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, they're gonna have to come up with some type of solution real soon. So yeah,
And another thing too is the labor needed to build out these data centers. And I saw that Facebook or Meta is putting together programs to get people trained to help put together data centers and get these build outs done at a faster pace.
Yep.
But yeah, it's you nailed it on the head that we're seeing the build happen in these phases. It was like, okay, we got the designers, right?
Mm.
Then we have the manufacturers, the picks and shovels, the folks that are actually building the equipment. Then we had the infrastructure. Then we had the compute. Now we're starting to move into power. And power, again, to me, is going to be, in my opinion, the biggest needed thing to keep this whole thing running.
Absolutely.
Because without power, everything else that you put in there is just completely useless.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, and I will say this, XLU, I still think is outperforming SPY year to date so far, if I'm not mistaken. And I
Yep.
talked about that at the end of last year, that could we see utility stocks really, really do well? So,
Yep. 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 Your video is glitching a little bit. I just want to give you a heads up. I don't know if your network is acting up or something, but
huh,
oh, there you go. Now it's better.
I see it now.
Yeah. It was just
It's
glitching a
better.
little bit.
Yeah.
It's still glitching, but it's okay. Um, but speaking of Meta, man,
Okay.
Meta's cutting out what 10% of their workforce, as they push deeper and deeper into AI. I mean, they're planning on laying off like 8,000 people. And the job cuts will begin May 20th, and the company is scrapping plans to hire people for 6,000 open roles. So they're not only not hire not they're not only laying people off, but they're actually scrapping all the open roles that they have open. The 6,000, almost 6,000. So again, that
Sheesh.
is that is some craziness, man. I mean, we see this happen across the board. I mean, Oracle just let go how many people, like 20,000 people, something like that. It was a crazy number. So again, a lot of layoffs happening, especially at the big tech companies. You know what I mean? So what is happening with that? Why is that happening? Well, if you want to gonna talk a little bit about that also.
Yeah, I think we talked this in another episode when we saw what happened with Oracle is that they're prioritizing AI over people,
Mm-hmm.
and some of these companies are looking at certain roles and they're like, AI is more important, so we might need to start scrapping, you know, people. And if you look at it, if you do the numbers, let's just say on average, every Facebook employee that got laid off was making around $100,000, right? That's what, $800 million that you are saving, almost $1 billion. You get rid of benefits. And we're just talking about salaries.
Salaries,
You
yeah.
get rid of benefits, you get rid of stock-based compensation, all of those things, you you might be able to turn that into what, $1 billion onto the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of your balance sheet. So is my feed still really slow?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's glitching still, your video at least.
All right, let me switch one more time and see if this works because this is ridiculous. Is it better?
Mm, not really. Like, damn, somebody's stealing your data, man.
I don't know who it is. Maybe there's too many devices on my network. I need to figure that out.
Yeah, somebody's stealing your data, man. But even not even just Meta, man, but Microsoft also announced that they're gonna, on Thursday, that they will
Hmm.
offer voluntary buyouts to some of the US employees, right? This is the first time in over 51 year, um, since Microsoft actually started like doing stuff like that. So about 7% of US employees are eligible. And I mean, like you said, man, like I think those companies are like investing heavily in AI and trying to make themselves less reliable on people. So you are gonna experience those. You are gonna see some of those things. I mean, Amazon just eliminated about 16,000 jobs back in January. So all the big giants are basically laying people off. Which is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
because they're the ones spending the most money.
Mm-hmm.
So and it doesn't seem that they're going to scale back on the money that they're spending.
Nope.
So the first thing to go is people.
Yep.
So my whole thing is, and we keep saying this, is if all of these people hit the unemployment market like over the course of the next 5, 6, 7, 8 months, how do the unemployment numbers look? How does consumer sentiment look? How does consumer spending look? All of those things could be affected if these people can't find jobs.
Right, right,
So that's something to be like very cautious of because it's a good thing that these company earnings are delivering, but what is the cost? At what cost, right? So,
yeah,
I would take the market being at all-time highs with a grain of salt because we still have some other, how should I put it, things on the back burner that could eventually rear their nasty head down the road. We just
right,
don't know how the market will react to those things in the future. So we just,
yeah,
it's not all, it's good, but you have to be aware of the real of the bigger picture of what's going on.
yep, yep. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on those things, man. But let's talk about the hyperscalers, man. When we talk about the hyperscalers, those massive cloud computing providers, think about Amazon, Microsoft, Google Cloud, all those people. They all three of them, they call them the big three, right? They own about 32% of the market share. That's a huge, 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 So AWS owns about 32%, Microsoft about 23%, and Google about 10%. Those are the dominant players. Those are the big three, right? They're all
Hmm.
going to report sometimes next week. So again, this is going to be a very, very important thing. Now, when it comes to the whole story about AI and storage, all this stuff, are those companies benefiting from that? Are they people coming to them to store some of those data? I mean, they might be benefiting also from some of those AI moves that we are seeing. So let's talk a little bit about that, man. Because if they disappoint next week, this might be a pull. This might be a huge pullback in the market.
Correct. So I will say that if any one of these big names say that A, they're either pulling back spending on CapEx or B, revenue numbers don't look that good, we could see a pullback.
Yep.
We got Apple, we got Amazon, we got Meta, and we got Alphabet all next week.
Mhm.
And Microsoft. I will
Microsoft.
say
Yep.
Microsoft has the most to lose because that stock got punished last earnings and it has been on a pretty
It hasn't gone anywhere.
hasn't gone anywhere. I think when it comes to Copilot is probably one of the worst performing.
They need to get rid of
Um,
that boy. They need to get rid of that boy.
yeah, I think that what they're seeing, whatever their strategy is with Copilot, isn't working at this point.
Mm-mm.
So that's something that we have to be mindful of. So it sucks that they all report in one week, but it's one of those things where next week's earnings, there's a lot riding on next week's earnings.
Almost the same date. That's crazy,
Yeah, and we also have a Fed meeting next week.
man.
So next week is a big week when it comes to the market, as far as whether we consolidate, whether we move higher, whether we pull back. You know, any of these names that if they say something that investors don't like, there will be a reason to sell.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep.
I think as far as who's got the most to lose, Microsoft has the most to lose.
Yep. Yep. But overall, man, I mean, they're big data, right? So we'll see if they're actually benefiting from a lot of those contracts that came through. You guys got to think about it too. Those three companies or those four companies are the ones that were sitting at the dinner table with Donald Trump. So there's a lot still happening there in terms of like favoritism and all these different things. So we'll keep an eye on what the numbers looks like and all that. So, but as Wale said, man, if any of them don't even give a good, forward guidance, I think they're gonna bring the market down with them.
Yeah, guidance is also key too. Guidance is
Yep.
also key. So, yeah, I'll be try to listen to as many of those calls as I can because you really got to know what's going on, under the hood,
Yep.
when it comes to those businesses.
Yep. Yep. SMH, the Van X Semiconductor ETF. Man, oh man, I missed this whole thing, bro. Like, this is one of those ETF that is like, man, it just made sense, right? To just have it somewhere sitting in the back, don't even look at it, If you guys do look at that chart, it is crazy, crazy, crazy months of move. Look at this month alone. Like, I think we started this month at 378, 379 around there. We closing this month at $509. That's $200 almost damn near almost 50%, not 50%, but close to 50% move. That's
18,
ridiculous.
18 straight days of higher movement in the SMH this week.
That's a beautiful chart.
31% in 16 days.
That's a beautiful chart.
And this is the reason why we have emphasized that, you don't have to pick one company when it comes to the AI story. Like, you can find ETFs that will help you sort of be a part of the pie where you don't have to just pick the one, because everybody thinks of like Nvidia, and maybe like AMD,
Sexy
but
ones.
the sexy ones, right? The ones that
Hmm.
everybody talks about on CNBC and all that stuff. But there's so many other names out there that, you know, are big players. I mean, like I said, go look at Dell. We talked about this on Wednesday. Dell is
Yep.
one that I just fell asleep on, and Dell is trading at all-time highs, just under the
Just
radar.
crazy,
And it's a
man.
stock that no one really like thinks about. But when you think about what they do in the whole AI story, server demand, like
They're
that's a
important.
need.
They're
That's
very
important.
important. Yeah.
So
Yeah. They
yeah,
found a good niche. They definitely found a good niche. It's crazy, man, to see those companies that are like you thought like I mean Dell, who was thinking about hardware? Like,
Oracle.
yeah, Oracle, like who was thinking about those things? Like, oh, they'll do hardware and stuff like,
Yeah,
but they have found their niche in this whole AI thing, and they're benefiting from it big time, which is
yeah.
crazy.
So yeah, the SMH is one of those. It's one of those ETFs. I think SOXX is another one that if you are looking to invest in AI and invest in the semiconductor space specifically, and you're like, I don't know which one to choose, those are two ETFs where you can just basically be a part of that whole story by one
Yep,
buy. Yeah. So
yep. So tell me what you guys think have in common with all these things: data centers, GPUs and servers, power grids, cooling system. They all need copper. Every single one of them need copper. Data centers need miles and miles and miles of copper wiring, cooling system, and power distribution. GPUs and servers support use copper using chips, connections, heat management. In the power grids, AI need massive electricity, and copper is a good way to transfer electricity. Cooling system, the copper pipes for liquid cooling. So, copper, copper, copper. Like that thing is needed big time. You can have all the power you want, but if you can't deliver it, that's another one, man. That's like I can't wait to get into that because I feel like if you actually get into that early, especially now that we're talking a lot more about power, right? That's another one of those tentacles, like that goes from a power, like now, okay, now you have power, but now you got to figure out all the different ecosystem around the power. Listen, Wale, I'm gonna let
so
you have this one, man. This is crazy.
so I want to tell you that when it comes to like building investment thesis around what is going on globally, I spent a lot of time doing a lot of research on areas that a lot of people aren't thinking of and aren't talking about. And it just sometimes has to make sense, right? Like we were on the nuclear story before anybody was
Anybody,
talking about it. We were on the
anybody.
Intel story when before anybody was talking about it. We were talking about the power story before anybody was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as I've done a little bit more digging, copper is one of those commodities that I've been thinking about that is a electricity conductor. All right, I got to take my glasses off because I need to read my thesis.
Let's do it.
So let me pull up a chart real quick and start to look at some names that play in that space. All right. Okay. So copper, according to Reuters, when it comes to AI, defense, and robotics, they are anticipating a 50% increase in global copper demand by 2040, with the market facing a major supply gap without more mining and recycling. So straightforward. This is what you need. AI data centers need far more than chips. They need power cables, they need grid upgrades, they need transformers, they need switchgear and cooling systems, and copper sits inside all of that ecosystem, right? So demand for copper is going to be needed. Now, there's also real world cases that are happening where we're starting to see stories of where copper is starting to kind of rear its head. So in January, Rio Tinto, which is a publicly traded company, agreed to supply copper to Amazon for AI data centers. This shows that hyperscaler demand is reaching deeper into raw material supply chains, right? So what do we see? The best way to frame this is that as we start seeing more demand for electricity or more demand for grid upgrades and more demand for power, copper is a commodity that sits inside all of that ecosystem.
Facts.
And one of the companies that I'm most familiar with that plays in that space is Freeport McNamara,
FCX. Yeah.
FCX. And it doesn't surprise me that they just hit an all-time high recently.
Yep.
It does not surprise me because I'm looking at their 20-year chart. Yeah, 70.97 is an all-time high that they hit this week. Now,
Bro.
I'm pretty sure that there's other areas or other ways to invest in copper outside of Freeport McMoRan. So let me go to my commodities watch list and share a couple names that you can take a look at. So, because everybody is talking about gold and silver and all that stuff. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. So the global copper ETF COPX. Let me see. I need to do more research on this one, but that is an ETF that uh yeah, is made by who's the this is Global Fund. Yeah, COPX is an ETF. And if you go look at the monthly chart of this thing, I mean, this thing has I hit a high of what, 90, almost $100, and it's kind of pulled back. That's a way to invest in copper. Here's another one that I have on my list is SCCO. That's another company. Southern Copper.
Yep.
Their all-time high is 223.89. And they've kind of pulled back.
Just
They're
pull
sitting
back.
at
Yeah.
180-ish. And then Freeport is another one that I do have on my list. Those are the three that I'm most familiar with. I don't have a position. I don't have a dog in the fight, but it is one that I will be looking at that if I see any signs of weakness, to me, this could be a good long-term hold story.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So those are three names I'd be putting on my list, doing some research and trying to build. I've kind of given you the thesis. There's an investment thesis around it. Now you got
Yep.
to figure out what price am I willing to pay? When will I start to execute for, building a position in copper? But I think to me, it all makes sense. And I don't know if enough people are talking about it. I haven't heard a lot about it.
Think so.
But yeah, I would be putting that on my list. If you ask me where these companies will be trading in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I would say probably significantly higher than where they are today. So, um, not the type of person to want to sit there and predict the bottom, but this is probably this is probably a sector where I'd be consistently deploying cash.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing, though. How do you guys think nuclear energy gets delivered? Like think about it. Nuclear energy doesn't get delivered like gas or
Hmm.
oil. It actually get converted to electricity
Hmm.
and then gets delivered via the same grid that we have today. So all of those stories gonna just kind of is gonna collide. If we have, like I said, if you have the power but you can't deliver it, that is
Yes,
a problem,
that's a
right?
problem. And if you
So
can't
again,
deliver it effectively,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, there's still a lot of this. Man, it's almost like someone you get a big old like steak, and you just keep eating it, and it's just like this more steak. And it gets better and better every time. That's how it feels like. Like the more you dig into this, so we went from like if you don't know how to like put thesis together, it's gonna drive you crazy, right? Because like, how do you go from chips. Nvidia is making chips. So like, oh shoot, you'd really have to expand your mind outside of just AI and chips. Like what else, including that ecosystem? You know what I mean? So you just gotta go figure it out, man. And
Yeah,
then if you look at that ETF, kind of like the same stuff we always tell you guys, look at the ETF, look at the top five, top 10 over there, take those, analyze those, find the one that you want to go with, and there you go. Or you can just go with the ETF. Doesn't matter. Like it's up to you.
correct. Shane is asking a question. What about laser and fiber optics? Yeah, I think fiber optics, I think is also something that goes into the whole build out of AI. And I think one of the names that has ran like crazy is LITE, Lumentum.
Hmm.
Yeah, Lumentum has gone on a ridiculous run. And I think
Yep.
another name, I mean, we put a whole presentation a couple episodes ago, and
Yep.
that presentation is free for you to go watch again as far as breaking down all the different levels of AI that you can invest in.
Yep.
Let me pull up another name that I think is in that space. Give me one quick second, real quick.
Problem. And as you're pulling that up, even like I'm glad Shane is asking that because fiber optics, if you gotta think about it, it's about delivering data, right? So it's like that is very, very important too. So you not only have to deliver energy, you have to figure out how to deliver that data. So that is a very, very important part also of this whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I think another name that popped up is ANET. ANET is another
ANET.
ANET.
Yep.
They're a networking company, and
That
it
thing is
does
staying
not
up there.
surprise it does not surprise me that Arista Networks is now at an all-time high.
Yep.
Let me pull the chart back
It
a little bit further. Yeah, all-time high,
all time high.
179.80. Hit an
Yep.
all-time high this week or
Yep.
this month. Yeah, this week. Yeah. So, I mean, how should I put it? I'll be honest with you. I don't think anybody is out there really breaking down this whole AI build out the way we've been breaking it down from the
Nope.
beginning. I
Nope.
don't think anybody is giving you this much information to sit there and really like, how should I put it? To really like break everything down in pieces about everything that's needed in the whole AI story. So everybody likes to talk about the headlines, but there are some hidden opportunities out there that have just, I mean, you got to just join the investment group, man.
You have to. You got to.
You got to just join the investment group because I'm looking at two names that I basically, so there's two names that I wrote an investment thesis about. This was in late, let me see. When did I start talking about these names? Yeah, so this was on March 19th, 2026. I wrote my thesis in April, and I'm just going to give you no. I wrote the wrong ticker. So let me just give you an idea of where these stocks have moved since I wrote my thesis. So this was okay. Yeah, so this one I completed on April 4th. So let's just start with the date of April 6th. This stock was trading at 48.66 when I wrote my investment thesis. The stock is now trading at 79.10, and we're talking about in less than a month. The other name that I wrote my thesis on, uh, this name, and I'm not going to give it out. I'm, I'm not giving the name out because ain't nobody talking about these two names. This was back on April 4th as well. So let's start with the date of April 6th, 7. Yeah. This stock was trading at 21.87. Today it hit a high of 32.31. So if you want to find who those names are, you want to know who those names are, you got to join the group. But basically, there's a big case around why some of these names are needed because it's just one of those things that again are hidden gems in this whole AI story. So, Billy, I think I lost you. I'm not sure.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So. But yeah, I can't give those two names out.
He's like, I'm gonna keep it out of there.
I'm keeping them out of there. But if you join the group, I have written a very detailed thesis around why these names matter. Because one of the things I will say is when you look at NVIDIA has said that they see a $1 trillion revenue opportunity between now and 2027.
Yep.
So the question is, who is part of that $1 trillion revenue ramp up to
Yeah.
2027?
Yeah. Who's getting all of that?
Who's getting all that? Because it's if NVIDIA is a chip designer, right, and they're part of the story, they only really do like a piece of what's needed.
Right.
But as they are building out and supplying things to these companies that need scale and AI demand, there are so many companies that are touching that ecosystem. And two that I've named, I've just given you how these stocks have moved in a
Mm-hmm.
month. And yeah, I just man, I'll be honest with you, man. I love Chat GPT.
Chat lets you break things down, man. Like there's no reason for being lazy. Like
No.
I'm dead serious. Even if you're being lazy, you even put like a whole sentence in. At
Mm-hmm.
least it will help you reconstruct an idea. Like
It will,
you'll
yep.
have to like help you kind of build whatever it is that you're trying to communicate.
I mean,
So
I built an entire like stock screener that will give me scores for companies, and it'll put companies in categories like based on the higher the score, the better the long-term story, and it will score it based on all of the metrics that I'm looking at in the stock.
nice.
And I've been using it very effectively, and that's how I pulled out some of these names.
Mhm.
And um, some of the names that I will the one sector that is having trouble, I will say this, is software.
Software still
Software
having
can't
trouble.
catch a bid.
Yeah.
Software cannot catch a bid. But I'm pretty confident that at some point, the market will start to realize that mission critical software will separate itself from non mission critical software.
Yep.
I don't know how
Yep.
long it's going to take. It's going to take some time, but I think eventually you'll start to see that separation at some point. Um, and I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
what a crazy, what a really, really great week for investors.
Yes, yes, investors, and if you're doing short term trading and all stuff, you definitely got some good money and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but overall, man, the name of this game is consistency. Don't take yourself out of the game. Don't take that. I'm gonna take a month and take my money out the market and all this. Well, they talked about that last week. I'm like, don't be outside the market. Because you're outside the market for too long, you're gonna miss a lot of information. But overall, man, the name of the game, like I said, is consistency, making sure you stick around, making sure you do your due diligence, and making sure you follow a specific plan when it comes to what stocks you want to look at, what stories you want to keep an eye on, and building a strong thesis around it. And sometimes you might do a wrong thesis, and you gotta learn how to let it go. You have to learn how to let it go.
Hmm. Yeah, like uh my TLT thesis was it late was
It was
it
like
late
late last year.
2024 or late
Yeah,
2025? Yeah.
I think it's around 2024, 2025. Yeah.
Yeah,
But again,
got smoked.
yeah. But you gotta learn how to let go, and then you just gotta move on to the next and build another story from there. So with that being said, like next week, man, there's like I said, we
Big
have
week.
some big
Big
announcement,
week.
big earnings coming up. And then on Wednesday, of course, we have the FOMC rate decision. We'll see what Jerome Powell is gonna say. I'm just happy for Jerome. They said they're not gonna investigate him anymore. I think that was a scare tactic just to get him off the whatever. I don't think there was gonna be anything to him, but
No.
they said they're not gonna investigate him and all that stuff, but they definitely give the man scare, man. But overall, man, Jerome's gonna talk next week. Hopefully, he's in a better mood, with all these things happening. So maybe he will give us a little more because I think this might be his last. Is it his last? Is this his last one? Because he's
Poss
done in June, right?
Possibly. Could be. Could be.
Yeah, this can possibly be the last time we got to see Jerome standing on there
'Cause
and say
there's
good
no
afternoon.
there's no Fed meeting in May.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, this might be it then. I wonder if he's gonna say anything about that. Like, this is my last one. I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah.
Jerome is definitely gonna be missed, man. But we shall see what the next guy gonna do back in June and how's that gonna go. But overall, man, Wednesday's gonna be interesting. And then also on the same day we get into FOMC things, that's when we get into all these reports from all these different hyperscalers. So crazy day, to say the least. Wednesday, April 29th. That's gonna be very, very
Yeah.
interesting.
I think the volume for next week is going to be crazy.
It's going to be ridiculous. And on top of that, we have the delegations actually in Pakistan this weekend. So we are going to see if there's going to be any decision on a deal with Iran and stuff. So Monday can be either a crazy dump day or it's going to be a crazy, gap up day. So whatever happens over this weekend is going to have a big effect on Monday. But then I
And
think
I,
we're going to see calm down on Tuesday.
and I will say this too. I mean, you have to understand that there is no resolution to what's going on overseas. And everything can flip at the stop of a dime
Yep.
based on one tweet. So
Yep.
yeah,
All it takes a tweet.
you have to keep that in the back of your mind. Now, the market seems to be ignoring that for now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? But we don't know if this is going to last any longer. So, there is a lot of optimism, but is it blind optimism? We don't know yet. We gotta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an expert on global conflict, so I don't know what's going to happen with
Yep.
what they're talking about overseas.
Yep. So
So
what, regardless, if this week, if they don't come, if I'm all I'm saying is like if the delegation leave this week with no optimism, I think we're gonna see some bearish move.
yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
but if we see some optimism or even a deal, I think we're gonna open in the market to all time high again on Monday. So, but we shall keep an eye on that. All right, well, they were heading into next week. I know you already give a lot of stuff, man. Even next week's gonna be our last week of this month. Anything that you want to talk about when it comes to May and all that?
So I'm feeling real generous. I will say this: if you join the group this weekend, I will be giving your first month off for free.
Yo,
So you get an entire month to join the group for free and to basically immerse yourself into what we've got going on. Because I said, I think there's a lot of groups that focus on like trading,
mm,
which we talk about on a consistent basis. But I think the long-term game often gets undervalued.
yep.
And I'll also say that a lot of times when people talk about stocks, you're always going to see the names that show up on Twitter, the names that show up on CNBC, the ones everybody's talking about.
Right.
But someone who's actually going to put together a legitimate investment thesis about why a certain stock or a certain, and you can just look at the track record by looking at old episodes, right? And we've basically just giving you guys a lot of good ideas about where you can start to build long-term positions. And I don't talk about all of them on the show, obviously. So if you want to get to know some of the names that nobody's talking about, get a month to join the group and see if you like it and see if you don't.
Yep.
So if you ask Shane, Shane, has been in the group for quite some time and the proof is in the pudding. So
Yep. Yep.
I will leave with that. So if you join this weekend, you get an opportunity to join the group for free for an entire month.
Yes, sir.
So I'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Just join the group, y'all, and be patient when we do those, especially when we do those breakdown.
And
Don't
part
don't
and participate
yeah,
and
participate.
participate because
Yep.
what this is what I see sometimes. Some people will join the group. They don't ask
Yeah.
questions, they don't say anything, they don't participate.
Yep.
And at that point, it's like,
What's the point? Yeah.
what's the point? Like I'll be honest with you, this is not the type of group if you join where you expect me to just be calling out like, oh, do this, do that. Like
Yep. Yep.
this is not a group about blind trust. No, that's not
Yep.
how it works.
Yep.
You have to do your due diligence. You have to participate. And if you do, to me, the benefits long term outweigh the cost.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I also want to share this because I saw something in in the group today I just want to share. Some of our option wins. We had Two big major wins this week. We have one of 1,150% on Intel.
Nice.
We have another one. Listen to this percentage: 15,807% return. Someone turned $13 into $2,068 in one trade.
That's ridiculous. $13.
$13 into $2,068 in one trade.
That's nasty.
Now, that wasn't something that I called out. That wasn't me. But when you start to immerse yourself in the group and you start to understand how capital markets move, I'm telling you, your whole perspective will
That
change
is nasty.
about the investing world. So
Yep, yep, yep.
crazy, crazy.
But that's all it takes, man. That's all it takes. It's one or two trades to put you way, way out there to be able to set you up for the next few trades, you know? So but you wouldn't get any type of those type of analysis except from us. Like I can honestly say that I see a lot of trading um you know groups and stuff. All they do is talk about trading for the next day, trading for the next week or whatever, but they don't really like get into like the in-depth of long-term investing long because we don't just talk about trading, we talk about investing like.
Nope.
And we also trying to show you exactly how you can look at a stock and be able to build a thesis around it and why you should be able to do that. Because some days there might be days like Wale's like, I don't want to do a group anymore. What you gonna do? You know what I mean? So it's like we need to be able to do those stuff for ourselves also. So our whole mission is to help you be able to get the knowledge and also pass it down to whoever you need to pass it down if you need to. So,
Yeah. So if you're listening, you got friends, you got family that, are interested in trying to figure out how to navigate capital markets, you know, I highly recommend that you join the group. So I will say this: I think my perspective of capital markets is different from other people's because
yep,
I've actually had to manage people's money.
yep, yep.
Like people have given me hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to say, Wale, how should I build this portfolio for
Mm-hmm,
X?
mm-hmm.
Right? So my perspective is not always about chasing what's hot or looking at what everybody's talking about. Is how do you construct a long-term durable portfolio that can weather storms long term to
Yep,
achieve a certain objective.
yep,
And that's kind of how I go into how I think about certain stocks and how to approach the market. I kind of look at bigger picture, the economy, understand all of those things. Like I don't think anybody in a trading group is going to tell you how to understand interest rates and when like risk is being priced into the market. Like looking at spreads and saying, hey, this is, I mean, I was telling people to start hedging way before the war started because we saw the red flags that were
yep,
happening with spreads,
yep, yep,
right? So I don't think anybody's going to give you that level of detail when it comes to trying to construct a thesis, but it's what I do and I enjoy it. And I just really hope that this can touch more people and a lot more people can benefit from it because
yep,
there's a lot to be made in this market. You just got to have a structured, objective, and approach to make sure that you know how to handle things. So
yep, yep. Well, with that being said, man, make sure you guys put us out there, talk to people, let people know that we're here, we're helping people out with this market. And if you got value from this, man, make sure you guys stay locked in because we're not just talking about headlines, man. We're actually breaking down the whole system, what actually moved the markets, and help you guys understand it. But if you guys catch a value out of this, please, please, please share it with anybody that you can. With that being said, man, y'all have a good weekend. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Oh, and I will say to join the group, if you go to our landing page, the Wall Street Rundown YouTube page, there's a link there where you
Yep.
can join it. And I will be changing it to, if you join before the weekend ends, I'll change it to free for the first month so that you can benefit it.
Perfect. All right, y'all. Y'all